of William Blake. So, William Blake was born on November 28, 1757, over his father's modest hosiery shop at 28 Broad Street, Golden Square, London. His parents were James Blake and Catherine Wright Armitage Blake. His father came from an obscure family in Rotherhithe, across the river Thames from London, and his mother was from equally obscure yeoman stock in the struggling little village of Wockeringham in Nottinghamshire. William Blake began writing at an early age and claimed to have had a first vision of a tree full of angels at age of 10. His friends and the journalist Henry Crabb Robinson wrote that Blake saw God's head appear in a window when Blake was 4 years old. He also allegedly saw the prophet Ezekiel under a tree and had a vision of a tree filled with angels. Blake's vision would have a lasting effect on the art and writings that he produced. Some of these stress and visions may have been fostered by his mother, who educated him through a Bible. He studied engraving and grew to love Gothic art, which he incorporated into his own unique works. Around this time, Blake started gathering prints of artists who weren't so popular back then to start his engraving journey and being an artist. So, like Durer, Raphael, and Michelangelo is where his works came from. Fast forward almost 40 years to his own art show in 1809, Blake slammed artists who tried to create a style in opposition to Raphael and Michelangelo. He also turned his back on the literary vibes of the 18th century, leaning more towards the likes of Shakespeare, Johnson, Spenser, and ancient ballads. So Blake was christened, married, and buried by the rites of the Church of England. In early years, the Bible had an early profound influence on Blake, and it would remain a lifetime source of inspiration, coloring his life and works with intense spirituality. Blake was into spirituality but not so much into joining it, because for Blake, true worship was private communion with the Spirit. He got majorly inspired by the thoughts of Swedish theologian Emanuel Swedenborg, and in April 1789, he checked out the big gathering of the new church in London. This church was just checked out and started by folks who were all about Swedenborg's ideas. So Blake loved the world of the spirit and abominated institutionalized religion, especially when it was allied with government. So he became an engraver. Blake began to work vigorously as an independent engraver. His most frequent commissions were from the great liberal bookseller Joseph Johnson. Next is the Johann Caspar Lavater's essays on physiognomy. So second is the Erasmus Darwin's Botanic Garden, and the third one is John Gabriel Stedman's violent and eccentric narrative of a 5 year expedition against the revolted Negroes of Suriname. In his career as an engraver, Blake became so well known that he received commissions to engrave his own designs. Blake's style of designing, however, was so extreme and unfamiliar, portraying spirits with real bodies, that one review in the British Critic in the year 1796. So it's called distorted, absurd, and the product of a depraved fancy. There are four, which is 6 plates for original stories from real life in the year 1791, and a collection of narratives for children by Johnson's friend Mary Wollstonecraft. Third is 43 folio plates for part 1 of Edward Young's poem Night Thoughts in the year 1797 and Robert Blair's poem The Grave in the year 1808. His marriage to Catherine Boucher. So Catherine Boucher in 1781, and Blake fell in love with Catherine Sophia Boucher, the pretty, illiterate daughter of an unsuccessful market gardener from the farm village of Battersea, across the River Thames from London. The family name suggests that they were Huguenots who had fled religious persecution in France. He also helped her to experience visions as he did. Catherine believed explicitly in her husband's visions and his genius, and supported him in everything he did right up to his death 45 years later. So, William Blake's career as an artist is Blake's first really important commission, which he received in about 1794, was to illustrate every page of Edward Young's popular and morbid long poem titled Night Thoughts, a total of 537 watercolors. Soon he began receiving commissions to paint watercolors and painted scenes from the works of Milton, Dante, Shakespeare, and the Bible. So, while pursuing his career as an engraver in 1779, Blake enrolled as a student in the newly founded Royal Academy of Arts. He exhibited a few pictures there in the year 1780, 1784, 1785, and 1799 and 1808. Blake's first really important commission, which he received in about 1794, was to illustrate every page of Edward Young's, as presented in my first explanation, which is popular and morbid long poem. So for this, he was paid €21 by the ambitious and inexperienced young bookseller named Richard Edwards, brother of the illustrated book publisher James Edwards. Most of his large commissions thereafter were for watercolors rather than engravings. Here is the list of William Blake's illustration. First is Thomas Butt's 135 temperas in the year 1799 to year 18,000, and watercolors illustrating the Bible. So, executed 8 watercolors in 1801 for Milton's Comus, 6 for Shakespeare in the year 1806 and 1809, 12 for Paradise Lost in the year 1807, 6 for Milton's Ode on the Morning of Christ's Nativity in 1809, and the Reverend Joseph Thomas of Epsom, not far from the village of Feltham, where Blake lived for a while. Blake created 6 watercolors for the Book of Ynot in the year 1824 to 27, 102 illustrations for Dante in the year 1824 to 27, 11 for what began as an illuminated Genesis manuscript in the year 1826 to year 1827, 29 unfinished watercolors in the year 1824 to 27 for John Bunyan's Pilgrims. The move to Felpham, Charges of Tradition in later years. After his Night Thoughts engravings that hit it big, Blake got an invite from Flaxman's buddy, the classic poet William Haley, to move to the little seaside farm village of Felpham in Sussex and work as his protege. In August 1803, Blake found a soldier, John Schofield, on the property and demanded that he leave. After Schofield refused and an argument ensued, Blake removed him by force. While the relationship between Haley and Blake began to sour, Blake got into trouble. So, in return, Schofield accused Blake of assault and worse, of sedition, claiming that he had damned the king. The complaint was taken to the magistrate, a charge was laid, and Blake was forced to find bail and was bound over for trial for sedition and assault first. In 1804, Blake began to write and illustrate Jerusalem, and his most ambitious work to date. He also began showing more work at exhibitions, including Chaucer's Canterbury Pilgrims and Satan calling up his legions. And he died on August 12, 1827, leaving unfinished watercolor illustrations to Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress and an illuminated manuscript of the Bible's book of Genesis. In his death, Blake received short shrift from observers, and obituaries tended to underscore his personal indi- indis- In his death, Blake received short shrift from observers, and obituaries tended to underscore his personal expense and of his artistic accomplishments. The literary chronicle, for example, described him as one of those ingenious persons whose eccentricities were still more remarkable than their professional abilities. Unappreciated in life, Blake has since become a giant in literary and artistic circles, and his visionary approach to art. So, next is the reputation and influence of William Blake. First important book on Blake was Alexander Gilchrist's two-volume Life of William Blake, the Pictor Ignotus, in 1863. Volume 1 was the biography, concentrating on Blake as an unknown artist, and Volume 2 printed many of Blake's poems and designs, most of them for the first time in conventional typography. In the 1890s, Blake was taken up by William Butler Yeats and Edwin John Ellis. They collaborate in a massive 3-volume, extensively illustrated edition of Blake. They kind of put Blake's prophetic poetry out there for everyone, but the text got messed up, words all over the place, stuff missing, and even some made up facts. Then Ellis and Yeats kept it going with more editions. Ellis even wrote a bio in 1907 called The Real Blake, where he threw in his wild claim without any real proof, saying Blake's dad was an Irish rebel named John O'Neill. Yeats just went along with this made-up story. So also Blake have made an essay by poet T.S. Eliot and the books of Northrop Frye. Next is David V. Erdman, Blake, Prophet Against Empire, a poet's interpretation of the history of his own times. And Joseph Visome, Blake, an idea of the book. So in the last paragraph, Blake, who set his own poems to music and died singing them, has had an impact on the world of music as well. His works have been set as operas, and he served as inspiration for an enormous number of musical composers, including Hubert Parry and pop musicians. Blake's works in illuminated printing differs in important ways from all others, and a clear idea of the power and the legacy of his books and drawings can be obtained only by seeing the originals. That's all. Let's move into the next report. A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath. My wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, and with soft deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree.
So, good day everyone. My name is Arvishane D. Abaygar, and I will be assigned to report to you the summary of the poem that was written by William Blake entitled A Poison Tree. So this poem actually explores the consequences of harboring anger and resentment. So the speaker initially expresses anger towards a friend, which he decides to conceal and let it grow like a tree. So as a result, the anger blossoms into a metaphorical poison apple, leading to the demise of the friend. So in the second half of the poem, the speaker contrasts this with openly expressing anger towards an enemy, which leads to reconciliation and resolution. And also, the theme of the poem, it talks about the anger and resentment. And then the poem delves into the destructive nature of unresolved anger and its consequences. And also the theme also talks about, or the poem also talks about, the concealment versus expression, because it explores the differing outcomes of hiding emotions versus openly confronting them. And also, the theme of the poem also explore about the nature and the growth, because the metaphor of the tree symbolizes the gradual development and the consequences of the emotions. And also, the characters who are present in the poem doesn't feature distinct characters but rather portrays the internal conflict and moral choices of the speaker. And also, there are significant events that happen in the poem. So the speaker actually nurtures anger towards a friend, but hides it, allowing it to grow like a tree. Second, the anger transforms into a poison tree, leading to the friend's demise. And lastly, the speaker also openly confronts anger towards an enemy, leading to resolution and reconciliation. So, this is the analysis of the poem that was written by William Blake entitled The Poison Tree. So at first, the symbolism of the poem is that it uses a metaphor of a tree to symbolize the growth of anger and its eventual consequences. And also, the poison apple represents the harm that festering anger can cause, while the tree itself symbolizes the gradual and insidious nature of unresolved emotion. And also, the style that the author used in writing the poem is that it employs simple language and structured rhythm rhyme scheme, and also enhancing the poem's accessibility and reinforcing its moral message. So the use of the first person narration allows the readers also to empathize with the reader's internal struggle. So the overall impact of the poem entitled A Poison Tree, it has a significant impact of the literature due to its timeless exploration of human emotions and also the moral dilemmas. So its themes of anger, concealment, and resolution resonate with readers across different time periods and cultures, making it staple in discussion of human nature and morality. So that would be all. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, I'm Ansay, the third reporter. For the continuation of our report, so there are 5 recommended notable works of William Blake, which is Songs of Innocence and of Experience, began in 1789 to 1794. This is a collection of poems by Blake that explores the contrasting states of innocence and experience. It includes iconic poems like The Lamb and the Tiger. Blake dwells into themes of purity and corruption, exploring the complexities of human existence and the duality of human nature. The collection is a rich tapestry of imagery and symbolism that invite readers to contemplate the innocence of childhood and the harsh reality of adult life. Second is The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, began in 1790 to 1793. This is the first poem by Blake considered a revolutionary work and its exploration of the nature of good and evil, human and hell, and human spirit. And in the merits of heaven and hell, Blake challenges traditional religious doctrines and explores the idea that without the interplay of opposites such as good and evil, and there can be no progress or creativity. So the work is a bold and provocative exploration of the human spirit and remains relevant for its exploration of the complexities of human morality. The trade, which is the fourth Louis, began in 1797 to 1804, is one of the uncompleted prophetic books by William Blake. So it explores dreams and creation, human psyche, and struggle between reason and imagination. Structured around four primary characters are Zois, Urizen, Tarmas, Tuva, and Yortuna. The poem dwells into Blake's complex mythology and symbolism. So despite its complete status, the Four Louis remains a significant work Blake's ovary. So, showcasing is his visionary styles and exploration of profound philosophical questions. So, let's proceed to the fourth recommendation, notable works of William Blake, which is Jerusalem. The emanation of the giant Albion began in 1804 to 1820. This effect, poem one of Blake's later works, present his complex mythology and vision of a spiritually transformed society. It's dense with symbolism and allegory, drawing on biblical imagery and mythology. Blake envisions a new spiritual Jerusalem founded on principles of liberty, equality, and brotherhood. The poem is a visionary masterpiece that challenges conventional ideas about religion and society and offers a powerful vision of a more just and harmonious world. Lastly, which is Milton, a poem in two books, began in 1804 to 1810. This is another of Blake's later works which explores the life and ideas of the poet John Milton, particularly his views on religion and politics. Through intricate symbolism and allegory, Blake explores themes of rebellion, creativity, and the power of the human imagination. The poem is a testament to Blake's profound spiritual vision and his belief in the transformative power of art and poetry.
Certainly, let's delve deeper into why these works by William Blake are worth exploring. Each of these works delve deeply into philosophical themes that are timeless and universally relevant. Blake's exploration of innocence and experience, good and evil, heaven and hell, and the nature of creativity and its spirituality offer readers profound insights into the human condition and the complexities of existence. Blake was a radical thinker who challenged the prevailing norms and values of his time. His works often provoke readers to question their assumptions and beliefs about morality, religion, society, and the nature of reality. By pushing the boundaries of conventional wisdom, Blake encourages readers to think critically and independently. Blake's poetry is renowned for its rich symbolisms and vivid imagery. His use of powerful visual metaphors invites readers to engage with his works on multiple levels, uncovering deeper meanings and interpretations with each reading. This makes his works not only intellectually stimulating but also aesthetically captivating. Blake was deeply influenced by mystical and spiritual traditions, and his works reflect a profound engagement with questions of divinity, human spirituality, and the nature of the universe. His visionary poetry invites readers on a journey of spiritual exploration, encouraging them to contemplate profound questions about the nature of existence and their place in the cosmos. Despite being written centuries ago, Blake's works remain remarkably relevant to contemporary concerns. His critique of social injustice, his advocacy for individual freedom and creativity, and his exploration of the tensions between order and chaos continue to resonate with readers today. By engaging with Blake's works, readers can gain valuable insights into pressing issues facing society and the 21st century. Moreover, Blake's poetry serves as a beacon of spiritual enlightenment, illuminating the path towards self-discovery and transcendence. Through his visionary depictions of heaven and hell, in the mirrors of heaven and hell and Jerusalem, Blake invites readers to embark on a journey of spiritual awakening, challenging them to cast aside preconceived notions and embrace the boundless possibilities of the human spirit. His writing resonates with a sense of divine inspiration, guiding readers towards a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all things and the inherent divinity that resides within each individual. What sets Blake apart from his contemporaries is his unparalleled ability to seamlessly integrate poetry and visual art, blurring the boundaries between word and image to create a truly immersive literary experience. His illuminated manuscripts, adorned with intricate illustrations and handcrafted typography, serves as visual symphonies that complement and enhance the lyrical beauty of his verse. So each stroke of his pen and prose is imbued with symbolic significance, inviting readers to decipher hidden meanings and unravel the mysteries that lie beneath the surface of his work. In essence, William Blake's literary works transcend the confines of time and space, offering readers a glimpse into the boundless depths of the human soul and the ineffable mysteries of existence. His poetry serves as a guiding light in a world shrouded in darkness, inspiring generation of readers to embark on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment through his unparalleled creativity, philosophical insight, and visionary imagination. Blake continues to captivate and inspire readers with his timeless wisdom and enduring relevance.